Civil society groups have called on the federal government to urgently implement tax reforms to address the worsening economic inequality that has left millions in poverty. The appeal came during the unveiling of Oxfam's report in Abuja, the nation's capital. The report reveals that nearly 133 million Nigerians, almost 70% of the population, are experiencing hunger, with women and girls disproportionately affected. The group emphasized the significant disparity between the struggles faced by millions and the wealth accumulation of the affluent, who often evade fair taxation. They noted that the existing tax laws and lack of transparency facilitate widespread tax evasion, exacerbating inequality. They urged the federal government to enhance transparency in tax administration and redirect revenue to critical sectors such as education, healthcare, and infrastructure to improve the living standards of ordinary Nigerians. They stressed that addressing these issues is essential to closing the wealth gap and fostering long-term stability.
The economic situation in Nigeria is critical, with millions struggling to make ends meet as prices rise faster than wages, leaving many hungry and desperate. Over 133 million people, about 7 in 10, are facing hunger, and women and girls disproportionately affected, making up nearly 63% of the hungry population. In the rural areas, less than 40% of the households have access to electricity, severely limiting education opportunities and access to health care. Women and girls bear a heavier burden of poverty, with 35% literacy rate compared to 59.5% for men, and they have limited access to education and land ownership. Oxfam is calling on Nigerian government to adopt the following measures. 1. Increase social spending. Nigeria currently allocates only 2 to 3.5% of its budget to education and 4 to 7% to health care, well below global standards. The government must raise social sector spending to at least 10% of the budget in health, education, and agriculture. 2, implement progressive taxation. Establish a wealth tax targeting high net worth individuals. A 1% tax on net worth of over 1 million could raise 7.5 billion annually, which could fund critical social programs. Invest in human capital development. As 3, improve education, job creation, and health care, focusing on a rural and undeserved population, providing living wages, reducing corruption, enhancing education opportunities, particularly for women and girls, who improve Nigerians' Human Development Index, HDI, by 2030.
When we talk about inequality, we are not actually saying this thing because we have any special interest, but we do have, because we align ourselves very strongly with the poor and the excluded people. But we are saying it above all in the interest of the country, because when inequality deepens, even the most privileged is not safe. And that's a challenge that we're dealing with as a country at the moment. And when inequality creeps in, it goes into that vicious cycle. You keep rolling it, and you can't break it unless you take some decisive policy measures. So you have inequality, many people are poor, an extreme few are very rich. The poverty pushes people to certain extreme measures. Violent conflict and insurgency is created in different ways. Therefore, production is undermined, like we are seeing food production in the northwest of the country in recent time. So it's quite challenging.
Also, the complete absence of policy framework that has to do with pro-poor is also what is also widening this gap. Nigeria must be deliberate in terms of bringing in policies and programs that can address the inequality, that can enable people to have access to economic opportunities. As it is now, many Nigerians are very hardworking, but they don't have access to credit, they don't have access to other economic opportunities that are available in the country. A fair tax system is essential for Nigeria's development. It should be progressive, redistributive, and efficient in raising revenue for essential public service. Unfortunately, the current system falls out or fell short of it, with the multinational companies exploring loopholes and individuals leveraging tax exemptions and incentives to avoid paying their fair share.